Hi everyone, I'm transmitting to you today from this side of the vehicle because I want you to pay attention to what's behind me, and that's this disgusting lack of wheel poke. What happened was I lowered the car and I added more negative camber, which means the top of the wheels got kind of tucked in and it doesn't look very aggressive. But luckily today we have a solution. I purchased these spacers. These are 12 millimeter spacers, both front and back. And yes, there's a lot of discussions out there of what you should run on a Cayman with these sets of wheels, with the suspension. But I went with 12 front and 12 back because I did not want to stagger the spacers, because I kind of wanted to keep the OEM spacing of front and back, or staggerness front and back, sort of similar. So if I'm pushing the wheels back, I want to push the front and back wheels the same distance. But there's a lot of people who use 8 millimeters in the front and I think 15 in the back. I just wanted to be more consistent and I went 12 and 12. And today we're going to be test fitting them, installing them, see what they look like. And you'll be able to decide if you have one of these cars, if this is the right mod for you. So I do have a quick jack, which is right behind me. And even though it's probably a better way of doing it, a simple jack in this case is a faster solution. Seriously, get yourself one of these. Lifesaver. So these are the spacers that I purchased, and with these spacers you have to also install longer bolts, and also you have an option to replace the rotor screws. In my case, I'm going to skip it and I'm just going to install them on top of the rotors. I don't think it's necessary for me to screw them in, especially since you have these bolts. So all you have to do is simply apply them to the surface, and there's only one way of installing it, and they sort of sit right in. Everything matches and aligns. They are hub centric, so I'm expecting no vibrations. And to those who care, these are the OEM bolts and these are the new aftermarket extended ones. You ready for this? We're gonna do a quick drop to make it a bit more dramatic. Ooh, wow, I really like it. I think this is the perfect poke that I was hoping for. Yes, the front pokes a little bit more than the back, but for daily driving, I think this is absolutely perfect. And especially since in the front, I've got a lot more negative camber, so it tucks the front in with the 12 millimeter spacers. And then in the back, it's poking, but it's slightly more conservative. Yes, a lot of people run 15. I don't think I want to do that. I'm super happy with this 12 so far. And I've got to say, it gave the car a much more meaner stance, if you will. So let's take a look at this side. This side has not, doesn't have spacers. And look, this is what the front looks like. See, it looks pretty sort of, it looks pretty Kia Spectra. And then you look at this side, bam, definitely a lot more poke. Could have used more poke in the front? Probably. But again, I want to keep things symmetrical. So let's look at it again. This is with 12 millimeter spacers. And this is without 12 millimeter spacers. I mean, it looks terrible, I've got to say. It looks absolutely awful. And again, in the back, the wheels look tucked in. And yeah, my M3 also has spacers. These are 12 millimeter spacers in the back and also 12 millimeter spacers in the front, and it looks killer. So this is what it looks like before the spacers. This is what it looks like after the spacers. Before and after. Before and after. Before and after, before and after, before and after, before and after. Before we can fully admire the car, we have to torque the wheels, and this is my torque wrench that I use. This is a 1/2 inch size. It's pretty long and it gives you a lot of leverage. Highly recommend it. I think it's like 70 bucks. I'm going to link it for you in the description. So yeah, let's torque everything down. All right, so this is the final product. Everything is torqued. Obviously we're going to take her outside. It's the middle of the night now, but this is what it looks like in the flesh. I really love the way the back pokes out. I mean, check this out. This is absolutely stunning. Let me show it to you from this angle. Ah, this looks so good. And it looks good, but it doesn't look obnoxious. It looks classy good, if you will. There is such thing as classy poke versus really obnoxious poke, and I think this poke is absolutely classy. Now, one of the drawbacks of spacers is the fact that the wheels obviously stick out a little more, which means they kick out a lot more dirt on the side of the car. So in this case, this part of the car will get a bit more damage, and you can see little pebbles here. It's not too bad, but yeah, there's a bit more damage. So what I did on the M3, because the M3 has these massive hips, so after I did spacers and after my track days and all of that, I realized that this area there was getting blasted pretty badly. So I developed these custom-made mud flaps, which not only keep this side of the car clean, but keep this area of the car clean and rock chip free. So after many track days and 3 winters of driving, this area is squeaky clean. So I'm going to let you in a little secret, and I'm going to tell you that I'm going to be developing similar mud flaps for the Cayman. They're probably going to be available in a couple of weeks to those who are interested, but first I'm going to be making them for myself. I'm going to be testing them out, but to those of you who will want a custom set of mud flaps, just like I developed for my M3, you'll be able to get them from me fairly soon. So I started this video in this awkward position. I'm finishing it in a very nice position. I mean, the spacers behind me look absolutely fantastic, and I am so happy that I went with a squared setup. I don't want to change the OEM geometry. 12 front, 12 back to me is perfect, especially with my negative camber that I dialed in for the track. Anyways, thank you to myself for sponsoring this video. But if you are interested in any of the products that I use, I'm going to link everything down in the description for your viewing pleasure. And thank you very much for watching, and I will be seeing you in the next video. Bye bye.